Captain Tom Walker stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, sipping his coffee from a mug that read, "I'd rather be gaming." The massive view screen before him showed the endless black of space, dotted with countless stars. It was supposed to be a regular patrol mission at the edge of human space, until it wasn't. "Sir, massive energy signature detected," called out Bill Smith from his sensor station. His eyes widened as data streamed across his screen. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen." The coffee in Walker's mug rippled as a gigantic ship emerged from what looked like a tear in space itself. The vessel was beautiful, all golden spires and gleaming towers, more like a floating city than a spacecraft. It was at least 20 times the size of the Defiant. "Well," Walker said, putting down his coffee mug, "that's new." The crew watched in silence as the massive ship positioned itself ahead of them. The Defiant, with its blocky, industrial design and visible weapon ports, looked like a brick next to a palace. "Incoming transmission, sir," reported Jane Addams, the communications officer. "All frequencies." Walker straightened his slightly wrinkled uniform. "Put it through." A booming voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English. "Attention, primitive vessel. You are in the presence of the Grand Imperial Battleship, Eternal Glory. By decree of His Immortal Majesty, Emperor of the 10,000 Suns, your species is hereby ordered to submit to Imperial rule. Resistance is both futile and prohibited by Imperial Law Section 47B, subsection 12. The bridge crew looked at each other. Walker picked up his coffee mug again, took a long sip, and pressed the communication button on his chair. "This is Captain Tom Walker of the United Earth Ship Defiant. Could you repeat that? My primitive human ears didn't quite catch it." There was a pause. The Imperial voice returned, sounding slightly annoyed. "Your attempt at humor is noted but inappropriate. You will prepare your vessel for boarding and integration into the Eternal Empire. Your technological and cultural inferiority is evident. Resistance will result in immediate destruction." Walker grinned and looked at his crew. "Hey, Bill, bring up that thing your kid showed you yesterday." Bill smiled and tapped a few buttons on his console. Walker cleared his throat. "Transmitting our formal response now. Across all frequencies on every Imperial communication channel, the Defiant sent a single image, a yellow smiley face emoji with sunglasses." The silence that followed was deafening. "Sir," Jane reported, trying to hold back a laugh, They're sending a 200-page document about proper first contact protocols and communication etiquette." Walker stood up, straightening his back. "Send them a thumbs-up emoji this time. And get me Earth Command. I think they'll want to hear about our new friends." The Imperial ship's response came quickly. "Your behavior is unbecoming of a species addressing the Eternal Empire. You will cease these primitive pictographic transmissions immediately. Send them the dancing cat gif," Walker ordered, winking at his crew. As the bridge crew tried to contain their laughter, sensors detected multiple smaller ships launching from the Imperial vessel. Their golden hulls gleamed in the starlight as they moved into attack formation, a perfect, symmetrical pattern that looked like it came straight from a textbook. Walker finished his coffee and set the mug down firmly. "Now let's show them how primitive humans fight. Tactical, load the shotgun rounds into the mass driver. Communications, blast. Another one bites the dust on all frequencies. Navigation, execute maneuver Crazy Ivan." As the Defiant's engines roared to life, and the ship performed what should have been an impossible turn, the Imperial commander watched in horror as all their carefully calculated battle plans fell apart in the face of human unpredictability. The first contact war was about to begin, and humanity was going to face it the only way they knew how, with a mix of ingenuity, defiance, and memes. 3 days after the first encounter, the situation had escalated. The Imperial battleship Eternal Glory was now joined by 5 more massive vessels, each one shining like golden stars in the void of space. Admiral Robert Gray of Earth Command watched the feed from his office on Luna Base, his weathered face reflecting off the large display screen. "They sent another message," reported his aide, Mike Wilson, holding a tablet. "It's 40 pages long this time." Gray rubbed his temples. "Give me the short version. Submit or die, basically," Mike said, scrolling through the document, but with a lot more fancy words about their eternal glory and divine right to rule the galaxy. The Admiral stood up and walked to the window, looking at the blue marble of Earth hanging in space. The analysis team had been working round the clock studying footage from the first skirmish. What they found was interesting and amusing. "Call Captain Walker," Gray ordered. "I want his input on something." Minutes later, Walker's face appeared on the main screen, looking surprisingly cheerful for someone facing an alien armada. "You saw the footage analysis?" Gray asked. Walker nodded. "Yes, sir. Their ships are like something out of a fairy tale. Beautiful, elegant, and completely impractical. Did you notice how they always turn in perfect 90-degree angles? Like they're following some kind of space traffic rules," Gray agreed. "Our analysts found something else. Their weapon systems take exactly 2.3 seconds to recharge. Every time. No variation." Walker's eyes lit up. "They're predictable." "Exactly." Gray smiled for the first time in days. "And what's the one thing humans excel at?" "Being unpredictable," Walker grinned. Their conversation was interrupted by flashing red alerts. The Imperial fleet was broadcasting again, this time with video. The face that appeared on screen was alien, tall, with golden skin and features that looked too perfect to be natural. This was Admiral Light of the Eternal Dawn, Supreme Commander of the Imperial First Fleet. "Primitives," the alien spoke, his voice dripping with disdain. "Your resistance is both futile and highly irregular. Our databanks show that all civilized species submit within 2 standard hours of first contact. Your continued defiance violates 16 different Imperial protocols." Gray stepped into view of the camera. "With all due respect, Admiral, we humans have a long history of violating protocols. You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender," Light declared. "We have studied your vessels. They are crude, powered by primitive nuclear fusion. Your weapons are basic kinetic accelerators. Your ships lack the proper aesthetic requirements for a spacefaring civilization." In the background, Walker could be heard trying not to laugh. "Furthermore," Light continued, "our scans show you do not even have proper eye control systems. You rely on human reflexes and decision-making. This is highly inefficient and goes against all established conventions of space warfare." Gray looked thoughtful for a moment. "You know what else goes against convention?" He pressed a button on his desk. This. Across every Imperial communication channel started playing "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley. The golden-skinned Admiral's face contorted in confusion. What is this primitive audio assault?" "That, Admiral," Gray said with a straight face, "is humanity's official response to your ultimatum. We call it getting Rick-rolled." The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, the Imperial ships began moving into attack formation, the same perfect, geometric patterns they always used. Gray turned to his staff. "Send word to all Earth forces. Operation Chaos Monkey is now in effect." He looked at Walker's image on the screen. "Captain, you know what to do." "Yes, sir," Walker saluted. Time to show them why humans never play by the rules. As the massive Imperial fleet prepared their mathematically perfect attack, they failed to notice the small changes in Earth's defense pattern. They didn't understand why the humans were spreading their ships in seemingly random formations. Their AIs couldn't comprehend why Earth vessels were flying in ways that violated basic principles of tactical efficiency. They were about to learn that in a fight between perfect order and creative chaos, chaos usually wins. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity was ready to break every rule in the book, especially since it wasn't their book to begin with. The void of space lit up like a Christmas tree as the Imperial fleet opened fire. Their golden ships moved in perfect formation, each shot precisely timed and aimed. It would have been beautiful if it wasn't meant to kill everyone. "Here they come," Captain Walker announced on the fleet-wide channel. "Remember the plan. Operation Crazy Dance is now active." And yes, that's the official military name for it. Blame Lieutenant Jones and his 3-year-old daughter for that one. The Earth fleet looked tiny compared to the Imperial Armada. But what they lacked in size, they made up for in creativity. And today, they had a secret weapon. 20 old mining ships that had been quickly painted with flame decals and smiley faces. "Sir," Bill reported from his sensor station, "Imperial ships are broadcasting their attack patterns. They're actually telling us where they're going to shoot." Walker grinned. "How polite of them. I guess they want to make sure we die according to proper protocol." He grabbed his coffee mug, which now had plan. What plan? Written on it. "All ships, execute maneuver duck and weave." What happened next would be talked about in Imperial military academies for centuries, as an example of everything that should not happen in a proper space battle. The Earth ships scattered like startled pigeons. There was no formation, no pattern, just pure chaos. Some ships spun like tops, others flew backward, and a few seemed to be drawing rude shapes with their engine trails. "They're sending another message," Jane announced, trying not to laugh. "They're demanding we cease our erratic movements and engage in proper combat procedures." "Send them back that gif of a cat knocking things off a table," Walker ordered. The Imperial fleet's perfect formation began to break as their targeting computers failed to predict the random movements of Earth's ships. Their energy weapons, designed to hit targets moving in logical patterns, missed more often than they hit. "Mining fleet, you're up," Walker called out. "Show them your new trick." The 20 mining ships, led by Captain Mary Wilson in the Diggy McDefface, activated their modified mining beams. These beams, originally designed to break up asteroids, had been hastily reprogrammed to lock onto the shiniest objects in range. The golden hulls of Imperial ships. What are they doing?" Admiral Light demanded as his perfect fleet began to sparkle with mining beams. "This is not an approved combat technique." The mining beams didn't do much damage, but they did something worse. They started stripping the golden paint off the Imperial ships. Patches of dull metal began showing through their perfect finish. "My ship," one Imperial captain cried out. "It's becoming aesthetically unpleasing." Walker took a sip of his coffee. "Now for Phase 2. Lieutenant Baker, show them what you found in the old history books." Baker activated what they called the Ancient Weapons System, naval tactics from Earth's Age of Sail. The Earth fleet suddenly shifted, forming a line of battle that would have made Admiral Nelson proud. "They're finally using a proper formation," an Imperial officer exclaimed with relief. That relief lasted exactly 3 seconds, until the Earth ships fired their mass drivers. Instead of energy weapons, they launched thousands of small metal balls, space buckshot, as the engineers called it. The Imperial energy shields, designed to stop high-energy beams, did nothing against simple pieces of metal. "This is impossible," Admiral Light shouted as his pristine fleet was peppered with dents and scratches. "Their weapons aren't even glowing. How can non-glowing weapons do damage?" The final blow came when the mining ships, now finished with their paint-stripping mission, engaged their industrial strength magnets. The Imperial ships, suddenly pulled by magnetic forces they never expected to encounter in battle, began crashing into each other. Within an hour, the mighty Imperial fleet retreated, their golden ships now scratched, dented, and partially stripped of paint. They left behind a very important lesson. Never assume that primitive means ineffective. As the Earth fleet regrouped, Walker finished his coffee. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them Operation Crazy Dance was a success, and someone get those mining ship captains a beer. They've earned it." In the silence that followed, someone started playing "We Will Rock You" over the command channel. No one bothered to turn it off. In the top-secret research facility beneath Mount Baker, Dr. Lisa Green stared at the captured Imperial technology spread across her lab bench. Next to her, Dr. Jack Brown was taking apart what appeared to be an Imperial coffee maker, though they weren't entirely sure that's what it was. "This is ridiculous," Lisa announced, holding up a golden circuit board. "They made this way more complicated than it needs to be. It's like they added extra parts just to make it look fancy." Jack nodded, poking at the maybe coffee maker with a screwdriver. "Look at this. They used quantum tunneling to heat water. Who uses quantum tunneling to make coffee?" Their conversation was interrupted by the facilities director, Dr. Mark Thompson, rushing into the lab with a tablet in his hand. "You need to see this. The Imperials just sent us a message. They're demanding we stop using nuclear fusion because it's dangerously primitive." Lisa looked up from her work. "Did they suggest an alternative?" "They say we should be using something called quantum harmonic power cores," Mark read from the tablet. "Apparently, it's the only civilized way to power starships." Jack stopped his tinkering. "Wait a minute. Show me their specs." After reviewing the Imperial power systems, the three scientists looked at each other and started laughing. "They're super advanced quantum harmonic whatever." Lisa wiped tears from her eyes. "It's just a fancy fusion reactor with extra steps." "And gold plating," Jack added. "Don't forget the gold plating. Everything has to be gold with these guys." Mark's tablet beeped again. "New message from Earth Command. The Imperials are planning another attack, but this time they're bringing their advanced ships. Apparently, the ones we fought were their outdated models." "Speaking of which," Lisa said, "I figured out why their shields failed against our metal buckshot. Their entire defensive system is based on deflecting energy weapons. They never considered someone would just throw rocks at them." "Classic humans," Jack grinned. "When high-tech fails, go low-tech." The lab's main screen lit up with a priority message. It was Admiral Gray. "Doctors," he looked worried. "We've got a situation. The Imperial fleet is deploying what they call quantum interference fields to disable our ships. They say our primitive technology won't be able to function in it." Lisa was already pulling up the data. "These interference fields, they're designed to disrupt advanced computer systems and energy weapons." She started smiling. "Sir, I don't think they understand how our ships work." "Explain," Gray ordered. Jack stepped in. "Their fancy field assumes everyone uses quantum computers and AI systems, but our ships run on hardened military processors, old-school silicon, and good old-fashioned programming. You can't quantum interfere with something that isn't quantum in the first place. It's like trying to hack a pencil," Lisa added. "Our primitive technology is actually our advantage." The Admiral's face broke into a grin. "Can we use this?" "Better than that." Lisa turned her laptop around, showing a modified design of the Imperial power core. "We've figured out how their systems work. They're basically just overcomplicated versions of our own technology. Give us 2 days, and we can make their interference field blow up in their faces." "You have 1 day," Gray said. "The Imperial fleet arrives tomorrow." The scientists looked at each other and nodded. "We'll need coffee," Jack said, reaching for the modified Imperial coffee maker. He pressed a button, and it shot the cup across the room, embedding it in the wall. "Right." He made a note. "Regular coffee maker it is." As they got to work, Lisa couldn't help but laugh at the irony. The Imperials had spent centuries making their technology more complex, more elegant, more advanced, and in doing so, they'd made it vulnerable to the simple, robust systems humans preferred. Tomorrow, they would learn that sometimes the best technology isn't the most advanced. It's the most reliable. "Hey," Jack called out, "I think I just figured out how to turn their shield generators into really expensive disco balls." In the end, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their ability to look at complex problems and find ridiculously simple solutions. Imperial Agent First Class Gold, whose actual name was much longer and more impressive, sat in his stealth ship, watching Earth's entertainment broadcasts with growing horror. He had been sent to study human culture for weaknesses. Instead, he found himself binge-watching something called cat videos for the third straight hour. Agent Gold, report status. His commander's voice crackled through the communication device. Gold quickly switched off a video of a cat knocking things off a table. Sir, humans are complicated. Their entertainment makes no logical sense, yet I cannot stop watching. In another part of Earth, Imperial Agent Silver was having a similar crisis. She had discovered something humans called pizza and was writing her 15th report about why the Empire needed to acquire this technology immediately. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, the Emperor's teenage son, Prince First Light of the Golden Dawn, was secretly watching human movies on a smuggled device. His current favorite was something called Die Hard. This John McClane, he wrote in his private diary, displays most improper behavior for a hero. He does not follow protocols. His uniform is incorrect. His tactics are chaos. He paused, then added, "It's awesome." The cultural invasion had begun, and the Empire wasn't ready for it. Back on Earth, Admiral Gray was reading the latest intelligence reports. "So let me get this straight," he said to his staff. "Our biggest victory so far isn't our weapons or tactics, but our memes." His intelligence officer nodded. "Yes, sir. Something called Rick-rolling has spread through the Imperial communication networks. Their younger officers are starting to use Earth slang. There are reports of Imperial citizens demanding to know why their ships don't have cup holders and casual Fridays." In the Imperial capital, the Minister of Cultural Purity was having the worst day of his career. "Your Eternal Majesty," he reported to the Emperor, "we have a crisis. Our youth are adopting human behaviors. They're asking questions like, why does everything have to be gold? And who decided efficiency was more important than fun?" The Emperor, his most radiant light of the 10,000 suns, shifted uncomfortably on his golden throne. Just yesterday, he had caught himself humming something called Baby Shark. "Surely we can stop this infection of chaos," he asked. "My lord," the minister bowed, "we caught Prince First Light trying to organize something called a pizza party. When we tried to stop it, he said, and I quote, 'Whatever, boomer.'" In Earth's orbit, Captain Walker was reviewing the latest transmissions from Imperial ships. Many were now ending their formal messages with lol or raffle, clearly without understanding what these meant. "Sir," Jane reported from communications, "you need to see this. The Imperial ships, they're starting to put stickers on their hulls." Walker looked at the video feed. Sure enough, several Imperial battleships now sported bumper stickers with phrases like, "My other ship is a Death Star," and "Honk if you love Terra." The final straw came during a routine patrol. An Imperial scout ship hailed the Defiant with the traditional threats of destruction, but the transmission ended with the scout captain asking where he could download something called Minecraft. In the Imperial Academy, instructors were losing control. Cadets were questioning everything. "Why do we always attack in perfect formations?" one asked. "Humans just dodge anyway. Why not try something new?" "Because it's protocol," the instructor shouted. "Ach, boomer," the entire class responded in unison. Back in his stealth ship, Agent Gold was making his final report. "Sir, I regret to inform you that I have failed in my mission to find human weaknesses. Instead, I have discovered something called streaming services. I hereby request permanent assignment to Earth observation. Also, please send more popcorn." Admiral Gray, reading the latest reports, couldn't help but laugh. The Empire had expected to face Earth's military might. Instead, they were being defeated by pizza, memes, and cat videos. "Sir," his aide reported, "the Imperial Prince just posted a TikTok dance video." The Empire's perfectly ordered society was crumbling, not under the force of weapons, but under the irresistible assault of human culture. As it turned out, the most powerful force in the galaxy wasn't advanced technology or military might. It was the ability to have fun. And humans were very, very good at having fun. The Emperor was having a terrible day. His son had just changed all the palace alert sounds to something called Minecraft villager noises, and now every emergency notification went, He knew he had to do something dramatic to restore the Empire's dignity. "Bring forth the planet destroyer fleet," he commanded, his voice echoing through the golden halls. Deep in Imperial space, the Empire's ultimate weapon awakened. 12 massive ships, each larger than a small moon, powered up their world-ending cannons. They were the pride of Imperial engineering, capable of reducing planets to dust. Their mere appearance had ended wars. On Earth, Admiral Gray received the news with unexpected calmness. They're bringing their biggest ships to a fight they're already losing. He turned to his staff. "Get me Captain Walker. And someone call the media department." When the planet destroyer fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system, they found something unexpected. Humans had set up what looked like sports commentary booths in space. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate show du Diodoan." A voice boomed across all frequencies. "I'm Bob Wilson, and with me is retired Captain Pete Miller." "Pete, what do you think about today's matchup?" "Well, Bob, the Empire's bringing some big guns, but let's see how they handle Earth's special surprise." The Imperial Admiral in charge of the planet destroyer fleet was confused. "Are they treating this like entertainment?" "Sir," his aide reported, "humans are live streaming this battle. They're calling it Space Wars. Episode 1. The Empire Gets Pranked. We already have 10 million viewers across the galaxy." The Imperial ships moved into their standard attack formation. It was perfect, geometric, and exactly what Earth was waiting for. "And here comes the human fleet," Bob announced excitedly. "They're using what they call the Pac-Man formation, a strategy apparently borrowed from a primitive entertainment device." The Earth fleet had arranged itself into a shape that looked exactly like the classic video game character. As the Imperial fleet watched in confusion, the ships even made the Waka Waka sound over all channels. "This is highly irregular," the Imperial Admiral protested. "Battle formation should be based on mathematical perfection, not games." Captain Walker's voice came over the channel. "Then you're really not going to like what comes next. All ships, execute Operation Mario Kart." The Earth fleet suddenly split into smaller groups, each adopting maneuvers based on different video games. Some spun like Tetris blocks, others moved like Space Invaders, and one group was definitely copying asteroids. The Imperial fleet's eye-targeting systems crashed, unable to process the illogical movements. Their perfect formation fell apart as human ships zipped between their massive vessels, playing what appeared to be a game of tag. "Amazing move by the UES Rickroll," Bob commented. "And look at that drift by the mining ship Meme Lord." The planet destroyers tried to target Earth, but they couldn't get a lock because smaller human ships kept drawing smiley faces around their sensor arrays with engine trails. "Sir," an Imperial officer reported, "our crews are laughing. They're actually enjoying this." The final blow came when Earth deployed its secret weapon. The Imperial Prince's TikTok video, played on endless loop on every Imperial screen. The sight of their future Emperor doing the floss dance was too much for Imperial discipline to handle. "Sir," another officer called out, "our ships, they're starting to dance." Indeed, several planet destroyers had broken formation and were attempting to copy popular TikTok dance moves. The massive ships swayed and twisted, their world-ending weapons forgotten. Admiral Gray watched from Earth Command as the mighty planet destroyer fleet turned into the galaxy's largest dance party. "Sometimes," he mused, "the best way to defeat an enemy is to make them your audience." The battle ended not with Earth's destruction, but with an Imperial officer requesting that song about never giving up. They'd been Rick-rolled one last time. As the planet destroyers retreated, their crews now more interested in downloading Earth's entertainment than destroying it, Captain Walker made one final transmission. Same time next week. We can do Star Wars references next. The Empire had brought their ultimate weapons, but they discovered that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or technology. It was their ability to turn even the most serious situation into entertainment. 1 month after the Great Space Dance Battle, as humans were now calling it, the Imperial Palace hosted its first ever Casual Friday. The Emperor sat on his golden throne, uncomfortably wearing a Hawaiian shirt over his royal robes. He had to admit, it was more comfortable than his usual formal wear. "Your Most Radiant Majesty," his aide announced, "the Earth delegation has arrived." The Earth diplomats walked in led by Admiral Gray, who was carrying what appeared to be a pizza box. Behind him, Captain Walker wore a t-shirt that read, "I fought the Empire, and all I got was this t-shirt." "Yo, what's up?" Prince Firstlight called from beside the throne, making his father wince. The young prince had fully embraced human culture, complete with sneakers and a backwards baseball cap perched on his imperial crown. "We bring gifts," Admiral Gray announced, opening the pizza box, Hawaiian style, as requested. The Emperor tried to maintain his dignity as the smell of pineapple pizza filled the throne room. "We have reviewed your unusual proposal for peace." "And?" Walker asked, filming everything on his phone for Earth's most popular streaming channel, Empire Gets Schooled. "We accept," the Emperor said, reaching for a slice of pizza. "Though I must ask, why pineapple?" "Because it's controversial," Gray smiled. "Just like us humans." The peace treaty was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Instead of demands for surrender or territory, Earth's main conditions were: 1. Mandatory fun days in the Imperial fleet. 2. Pizza restaurants in every Imperial system. 3. Free Netflix for all Imperial citizens. 4. A ban on boring meetings that could have been emails. 5. The right to organize intergalactic meme contests. The Imperial Minister of Protocol fainted 3 times while reading it. In the months that followed, the Empire changed. Imperial ships got paint jobs with racing stripes. Officers started ending reports with emoji. The Imperial Academy added Creative Chaos 101 to its curriculum. "Look at these statistics," Dr. Lisa Green presented to Earth Command. "Imperial efficiency is up 300% since they stopped following half their protocols. Turns out, having fun actually makes people work better." The Empire's rigid society transformed. Young Imperials started their own social media platforms. Imperial ships now had game rooms and coffee bars. The Emperor himself became addicted to something called Mario Kart and hosted weekly tournaments. Some old guard Imperials resisted, of course. But it's hard to maintain rigid discipline when your crew is busy teaching their admiral about Among Us. 6 months after the peace treaty, Earth hosted the first intergalactic meme championship. The Imperial team, led by Prince Firstlight, took 2nd place. They would have won, but humans had thousands of years of dad jokes as their secret weapon. Captain Walker, now an instructor at the combined Earth Imperial Space Academy, watched his mixed class of human and Imperial cadets. They were designing new ships that combined Imperial elegance with human practicality. And cup holders. Lots of cup holders. "Sir," a young Imperial cadet raised her hand, "is it true humans once defeated a planet destroyer by making it dance?" "That's classified," Walker grinned, "but if you check SpaceTube, someone might have uploaded the video." The final sign of victory came when the Emperor made his annual speech. He stood before the galaxy, wearing his formal robes, now with subtle LED lighting, and declared, "We have learned that true civilization isn't about rigid order or perfect protocol. Sometimes, it's about knowing when to play Among Us with your former enemies." In Earth's orbit, the UES Defiant and the Imperial flagship Eternal Glory floated side by side. The Imperial ship now sported bumper stickers and a small disco ball in its bridge. Its captain had even named the ship's eye, Bob. Admiral Gray, watching from his office, picked up his coffee mug, a gift from the Emperor, Reading World's Best Former Enemy. You know what the funny thing is? He said to no one in particular. We didn't really defeat the Empire. We just taught them how to chill out. And somewhere in deep space, Imperial Agent Gold was still watching cat videos, but now he could do it officially as Earth's first Imperial Cultural Ambassador. His latest report simply read, "Send more pizza." Also, humans just invented something called VR gaming. Request immediate research funding. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was probably for the best. After all, a little chaos makes everything more interesting.